Hi, my name is Tyler Mcvan, and this is going to be the level I created. I drew a lot of inspiration from the pyramid in Guatemala that's like deep in a rainforest. So, as you'll see when you're first getting into my level, there's some tents up, like a campsite, very covered in trees and some bigger boulders. And you just kind of make your way up through the climbable aspects. I'm kind of forcing the player to go certain directions by blocking the other paths with trees or other rocks and pushing the player in the direction that I want them to go through leading lines. So as you make your way up the mountain, there's a few like rocks in place that'll catch you if you fall. So you usually don't fall all the way back down. It doesn't hard reset you. This is like the introduction to climbing in the level. Just some basic jumps and using the interactable a little bit more. And then as you get towards the top is where a lot of the trees start to disappear and you get towards the base of the pyramid. And you find yourself around. There's a few ways up the pyramid. There's the back way, which Cole is using right here. That kind of puts you up inside. And there's a few other climbable in the front of the pyramid that you can climb them up. You end up in this little room, and the only way to go is up. And I have the roof open at the top, so the light comes in, so the player can kind of see that there's light around. And then you end up at this base top. I created a little cave here uh, to hide the key in to unlock the door. So I moved my chest from the beginning, and I used the skeleton there as kind of like, there's the chest, like open it, just some decorations in the cave. It didn't have this originally, so it was added after the fact, but I liked hiding it there better. And then you get to this, it's not really a climbing wall, so you're not using the climbing interaction as much, but you're just using the basic jump mechanic of like some jumps you have to hold your spacebar to make it all the way, some jumps you just tap. So it creates a little bit of like difference in just only using the climbing mechanic. I had fun making this, and then I also made it so that if the player falls, he can only get reset halfway. So if you made it halfway up and you fell, you just slide back down to the halfway mark, and then you're coming up here and you'll see another staircase, and then this is the transition to Cole's level. So I just reintroduced the climbing mechanic, uh, jumping up, making some longer jumps that weren't really in the wall jump. Uh, I did this in particular because Cole has a lot of like really, really long jumps in his level where you're like max holding spacebar. So I wanted the player to get used to it before he actually got introduced into his level. But some of them just weren't possible. And since I couldn't have added like a catch, I created some platforms towards the top so the player wouldn't get reset all the way back down if they missed the jump. And then when we first started talking as a group, the idea of like a waterfall transition came up of like sliding down a waterfall. The scale was a bit hard to get to work based off of the geometry of the waterfall, but it was pretty fun. So this is Cole's level. I'll let him take over.
Thank you, Tyler. My name is OKeefe, and I would like to welcome you all to my freshly designed level, which begins on the top of a mountain. The player has to clear a bunch of jump obstacles in order to make it to the bottom of this mountain and return to their home village. Uh, Games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild inspired me to make the game this way because I've always been a fan of adventure and outdoorsy type games. There's many spots in my level that are shortcut proof, like was just demonstrated. The player tried to jump off the bridge and he was brought back to the checkpoint at the beginning of the bridge to stop him from skipping ahead. Um, Based on what the player could see on the top of that bridge, their instinct would normally be to just continue down that path that they can see. But for players that like to do additional exploring, I created those lootable chests, like that one that was just looted, with gold inside to reward the player for exploring outside of the original path. And this here is the main jump obstacle, which the player will have to complete in order to continue further into the level. And if he messes up, he can climb back up and try again. This here is a spot where the player can explore the environment so that he can get a good view of everything and just really enjoy the landscape. Um, this is another example of how the player cannot take shortcuts. He was just teleported back to the checkpoint again. Um, I tried to create many spots throughout the level for the player to get a good view of the environment, just so they can enjoy the design of the level itself. Um, I've really tried to put a lot of work into the way the village looks, since that is the main goal of the whole level, is to make it to the end. I wanted it to feel rewarding for the player to finally reach that end goal. Whenever they finally get here, a key is required to open the gate, and then if they decide to do additional exploring, once again there's a lootable chest with gold inside. And yeah, for the most part, that is it. And I will take it over to David so he can tell you about his level.
Thank you, Cole. My name's David Goodman. I'd like to welcome everyone to my level. I'd like to call the Lost Crypt. As you come into it, you'll start with the jungle area, which was the original theme. I wanted to tie it to Cole's a little bit. Ignore the white wall on the left. That is the sun. Can't figure out why it's beaming in like that. I put a collectible in the center of the room to open up the door. To come into the room was a valve, so player couldn't go back. Up this chain, love it. It's my favorite thing about the level. I put 4 half cylinders together to make a chain, bent them, put a rust material on it. It's my favorite thing I did. In this room, the jumping puzzle and the pathways, underneath it there was water. I wanted to put a trigger box down there and a checkpoint, like Cole did in his previous level, to prevent the player from falling down. It would revert them to a safe spot, a save point, so they can start over. I wanted to do it in this room as well. I didn't get around to it. The final room of my level was the torture room, dungeon type feel theme. I have a archway that I'm really proud of. I took multiple different columns and different meshes and I put them together. I wanted to put a collectible. This is the first chest of my level. I wanted to put it to where the player didn't feel like they were not rewarded for traveling through there. And that is the end of my level. I want to thank you for watching, and I'm going to send it off to Joshua. Have a great day.
Thank you, David. Hello, I'm Joshua Bernick. I'm the level designer for this level. I kind of went with a jungle ruin feel to my level. I wanted more players to explore the area. I have areas that are kind of out of the way. You will notice in the background there was some waterfalls that you can go to, but you had to find the secret door. For the secret door, you need to collect the keys that were obviously there that you could see. As you jump up the pillar, you'll see the hidden door, the secret area, and you go through there, and you'll notice that you're in this area that's kind of out of the way, to find some extra gold and some extra artifacts. I have to fire out the secret area. Once you fall through the door, you can't get out through that way, so you have to go through the back and go back where you first went through the door. As you continue following the path, you'll notice there's more artifacts there is to be collected. You'll fall down another hole, you will notice that this area is kind of flooded. And the fire, again, shows you the way out. And you'd start noticing there's bones everywhere, as since this is a ruin, you're not the only person that explored this area. So you go into this room that is all kind of crumbled down. You'll find more artifacts all over the place. You look around, you'll see kind of a pathway to jump up, to go up even higher. If you looked up, you will see that there was a big old hole in the ground where you go out of, and you're in the upper part or up top of the ruins that were underneath you. And you will notice that there's another door to go through. And the last room, you will notice that there's more stuff to jump up, to get across. On the top, there was a treasure, and it, of course, needed a key. So that's why that skeleton was there on the side, because it had the key. Didn't make it. Was almost there. And you would collect more gold. And this is the end of my level. You keep climbing the stairs. You will end up in Steven's level. So here's Steven.
All right, thank you, Josh. My name is Steven Shipwash, and this is Mountain Pass Keep. We're going to go and grab this skull here from the lonely guard that's been dead there for a little while. We're going to go ahead and jump over this gate here so the player can go ahead and get on into this dungeon area, this keep. We're going to traverse this little village here. We're going to notice how all the torches and grass kind of guide the player in the direction that he kind of needs to go through this level. He's going to go and jump over these fences here. And we're going to start moving through here. The inspiration for this level kind of came from Chivalry, which is a medieval type game, and Grim Dawn, which is kind of like a dungeon crawler, real dark and based in medieval times as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and go down here in this dungeon. We're going to start noticing here some contraptions that have held the prisoners captive, and some of them have actually died in their cells. We're going to see a bunch of just different cells, dead prisoners that have been left there for ages. Nobody knows how long. We're going to go ahead and jump down this hole. Need that key to jump down there. We're going to go ahead and move through this part of the level. And each one of these water traps here actually has a checkpoint attached to it. That checkpoint falls at that point at the very beginning there. And if you were to fall into that water, he would be teleported back to that destination to restart these jumping puzzles. We're going to go ahead and jump up here. We're going to fall down. And we're going to notice that there's water here. The player can't jump in that water due to the traps in the water. There's been skulls and bones and dead bodies in that water. So we're going to go and jump across these piers. Piers have been broken for a long time. And jump up here. As we move through this dungeon, we're going to notice these red cross-like relics that are kind of guiding the player in the direction we need to go. You might have noticed them from the beginning. They kind of guide the player in the direction in which they need to go to complete their tasks and goals at the end. We have two stone gargoyles guarding the key here. I'm going to grab that key. We're going to start moving on because we need to find our way out of this dungeon. So we're going to the broken staircase. The broken staircase is our only way out of this place. So we got to make sure and jump these jumps perfectly. Get out of here. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and move up to the door here. That door requires that key that we found earlier in the dungeon. That's the fire pit. And it keeps fit from all the souls that have been burned inside of that dungeon. Right, we're going to go ahead and traverse up this mountainside. And get out of here. We're going to go ahead and come down the mountainside, and you're going to start noticing it looks a little more open, more free. And you're also going to notice that cross-like feature on top of that mountainside. Like I said, it's kind of guiding the player in the direction that he needs to be moving. Alright, once he grabs his chest here, I'm going to go ahead and scoot back a little bit. We want to make sure that the player is exploring the level as well. these features here. Grab that chest. Jump in this boat. The boat is going to go ahead and move, and we're going to go through this waterfall. And we're going to go up to the lodge. The lodge is the safe haven for the players here. And as we get to the lodge, we're going to have the player turn around, and he's going to see back where he had finished the level. That's it. Thank you.